We had some big names put up pretty bad seasons here in 2023, but who are the most disappointing hitters in MLB this season, and why did they struggle so much? Well, first we have some, dishonorable mentions. Jesse Winker had a down year in his first season out of Cincinnati after being traded to the Mariners, and he was looking for a bounce-back season here in 2023 after being traded again to Milwaukee, but he dealt with injuries and just couldn't find his swing at the plate again. Yankees fans were hoping to get one last year out of Josh Donaldson, who had struggled for him in 2022, but it was just more of the same here in 2023. Dealing with injuries and basically either hitting home runs or nothing at all before getting released by New York. And then we have Alejandro Kirk of the Blue Jays and Andres Gimenez of the Guardians, two young players that had their breakout seasons in 2022 and were looking to build on those this year, but neither of them were really able to do the same offensively. They still at least provided good defense. And now for the most disappointing hitters in baseball this year. Carlos Correa came into 2023 after one of the wildest free agencies that a player could have. And after coming back to Minnesota on a 6-year, $200 million deal, Correa played in 135 games this season and only hit .230, .312, .399 with a 711 OPS and got us all free Slurpees, 18 home runs, a 96 WRC plus, and 1.1 F-WAR. The former #1 overall pick in 2012 by the Astros, 2015 Rookie of the Year, and a 2-time All-Star, seeing Correa drop off like this right in the middle of what should be his prime during only his age 28 season is concerning. From 2015 to 2022, he'd averaged .279, .358, .479 with an 836 OPS, 155 home runs, a 130 WRC plus, and 31.3 F-WAR in 888 games. Correa had other deals in place this offseason to join San Francisco and then the Mets because his production wasn't the problem. What scared teams away was concerns with his durability. Now, he did miss some time at the end of this year, but Correa wasn't fighting through injuries throughout the season. He struggled because he was having a tougher time making contact this year because pitchers were getting ahead on the first pitch more and then staying out of the zone against him. So even though he was as patient as ever, he was having a tougher time getting the bat to the ball this year when he did swing, especially when he'd chase, which led to his highest strikeout rate since 2019, his highest ground ball rate in a full season since 2017, and the lowest sweet spot percentage in a full season of his career. When you combine this with his defense also taking a huge hit this year, and a big part of that has been a huge drop-off in his speed and range because of those injuries, you get the worst season of his career. It was pretty obvious just watching Giancarlo Stanton run the bases this year that he's far past his prime. This year he played in only 101 games, hitting .191, .275, .420 with a 695 OPS, 24 home runs, an 89 WRC plus, and -0.8 F-WAR. Stanton is a 5-time All-Star and the 2017 MVP with the Marlins, who had signed him to a 13-year, $325 million deal starting in 2015. The Yankees traded for him in December of 2017, going into his age 28 season, so they hoped that he still had a good handful of years left in his prime, but injuries have absolutely taken their toll. Stanton played in only 18 games in 2019, and he's averaged only 117 games per season from 2021 to 2023. So after falling off a cliff at the end of last year, the Yankees hoped that a little load management could help him bounce back here in 2023. But even though he can still hit the absolute piss out of the ball, he hasn't been able to find that sweet spot as much, whiffing more this year, especially in the zone, and hitting the lowest amount of line drives of his career by far. Kris Bryant fought through a handful of injuries to only play in 42 games last year, his first in Colorado after signing a 7-year, $182 million deal with the Rockies. Hoping to bounce back this year, 2023 didn't go any better, only playing in 80 games and hitting .233, .313, .367 with a 680 OPS, 10 home runs, a 73 WRC plus, and -1.2 F-WAR. Bryant was the #2 overall pick of the Cubs in 2013, the 2015 Rookie of the Year, 2016 MVP when he helped Chicago win the World Series, and a 4-time All-Star. But we have another former MVP MLB putting up below replacement level production. In 926 games from 2015 to 2022, Bryant hit .279, .376, .503 with an .879 OPS, 172 bombs, a .134 WRC+, and 32.2 F-WAR. But like you probably already noticed, Bryant's problem as well has been injuries, and he struggled with injuries going back to 2018, but we could clearly see them take their toll this year. He actually got pitched around way more this year, and Bryant's never really been a guy that's chased a lot, but he got way more patient when pitchers did throw him strikes, and this helped him avoid whiffing as bad as he has before. So he was more selective and making contact more often, but his problem was he just couldn't get the barrel to the ball as much, with the lowest barrel percentage of his career not including 2020, and he just wasn't hitting the ball as hard and just couldn't get the same lift anymore. After signing with the White Sox as an amateur free agent in October of 2013, Jose Abreu would win the 2014 Rookie of the Year, 2020 MVP, and make 3 All-Star teams. 2023 was the first year of his 3-year, $58.5 million deal with the Astros, but he only managed to hit .237, .296, .383 for a .680 OPS with 18 home runs, an 86 WRC+, and negative .6 F-WAR, and just, man, what's up with former MVPs this year? Houston had hoped that they were getting the Chicago version of Abreu that hit .292, .354, .506 for an .860 OPS with 243 home runs, a .133 WRC+, and 27.5 F-WAR in 1,270 games from 2014 to 2022. But maybe age is just finally catching up to the 36-year-old. See, Abreu has always had a problem with chasing, but he could get away with it because he's such a good contact hitter that he was hitting everything. But this year he kept chasing and hitting pitches out of the zone while swinging at less pitches in the zone and whiffing at more of them. And as a general rule of thumb as a hitter, you want to hit the pitches that are in the strike zone, not the ones out of it. Some of that new cutting-edge baseball analysis that we try to give you every day on this channel. And making contact on more balls out of the zone, he turned more line drives into fly balls this year, couldn't pull the ball as much, and had his lowest exit velo of his career with his highest soft contact percentage since 2016. Making the All-Star team each of the last 2 seasons, the White Sox hoped that Tim Anderson would be able to continue playing like a top-tier shortstop in 2023. But unfortunately, Anderson wasn't able to roll with the punches this year, playing in 123 games, hitting only .245, .286, .296, with a .582 OPS, only 1 home run, a 60 WRC+, and negative .5 F-WAR. Anderson just wasn't in the same weight class this year, not able to put up the same kind of numbers that he did from 2016 to 2022, where he hit .288, .316, .442 for a .759 OPS, 97 home runs, a .104 WRC+, and 19.2 F-WAR in 772 games. Another player that's been great when he's on the field, but injuries have had him up against the ropes since 2019, and he's averaged 108 games a season over the last 3 years. And as the injuries have piled up, so have the ground balls, going from bad to worse with the ground and pound as pitchers have attacked him more. And he just hasn't figured out how to defend against this. Even though he was a bit more patient this year, Anderson's still an extremely aggressive hitter, and while he's cut down on the whiffs the last couple years, pitchers have figured out how to go at him to get the highest ground ball rate of all qualified hitters in MLB this year. Oh yeah, and he got knocked the fuck out by Jose Ramirez. After making his first All-Star team and being a major piece of the Washington Nationals World Series win in 2019, the LA Angels had hoped that adding Anthony Rendon with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani would finally put them over the top. But since signing that 7-year, $245 million deal, Rendon has been a huge disappointment, and 2023 was no different. Only playing in 43 games, hitting .236, .361, .318 for a .678 OPS with 2 home runs, a 95 WRC+, and .2 F-WAR. Rendon was fantastic in Washington, and even his first year in LA. From 2013 to 2020, he averaged a 290, 372, 490 slash line, an 862 OPS, hit 145 bombs with a 129 WRC plus and 33.2 FWAR in 968 games. But since 2021, again, it's been the injuries that have killed this man's career, only averaging 49 games a season the last 3 years. He's kept his very patient and disciplined approach at the plate, but with pitchers staying out of the zone more this year, he was whiffing more too, struggling to barrel it up as much and just couldn't get around the ball and pull it. And then you can throw in him trying to fight a fan in Oakland. He no habla inglés when asked about his injured leg, and then there was just confusion between him and the club about what that injury even was. Just what even was his 2023 season? If you've been enjoying the video so far, please hit like and subscribe for more baseball videos like this one. As the heir apparent to Xander Bogaerts when the Red Sox signed him to a 6-year, $140 million deal in March of 2022, the two-time All-Star Trevor Story hasn't been able to live up to the hype yet so far in Boston. Now, we knew that Story was going to miss a good amount of time after elbow surgery this offseason, but a 203, 250, 316 slash line, 566 OPS, only 3 home runs, a 48 WRC plus, and .2 FWAR, that's not exactly the second win that Boston had hoped his return would give them. Story had emerged as one of the best young shortstops in baseball while he was in Colorado. From 2016 to 2021, hitting 272, 340, 523 with an 863 OPS, 158 homers, a 111 WRC plus, and 21.3 FWAR. There were concerns that Story's numbers dipped his last year with the Rockies, and injuries limited him to only 94 games his first year with the Red Sox, so even coming back from injury, they hoped that he'd be able to start to bounce back in 2023. Pitchers attacked him a bit more this year, especially early, and they took advantage of his aggressive tendency to get a couple more chases out of him and his highest strikeout percentage since 2017. Getting him behind in counts more also kept him from making as much hard contact and forced a career-high ground ball percentage out of him this year. Bryon Buxton's electric combination of power, speed, and defense was the reason why he was the number 2 overall pick in 2012 and an All-Star last year. But man, does this dude just struggle to stay on the field. In 2023, he only managed to play in 85 games without a single inning in the field and hit 207, 294, 438 with a 731 OPS, 17 home runs, a 98 WRC plus, and .7 FWAR. At this point in his career, his lack of durability took away any defensive value that he could have given the Twins this season, and that might honestly be his best tool. Out of 670 possible games from 2018 through this year, the Gold Glover, Platinum Glover, and Wilson Defensive Player of the Year has only played in 392 games, with the most in any one year being 92 games last year. Offensively this year, he kept the same aggressive approach at the plate. He just chased a little less, which helped him to make contact a bit more, but he got a bit too carried away with the launch angle. He turned too many line drives into fly balls this year and turned some of those fly balls into pop-ups too. So even though he was hitting the ball as hard as he ever has, he was costing himself sure outs and wasn't as effective at turning fly balls into homers or extra base hits as we're used to seeing him. Oh, Javier Baez. Where to even start with this man? 136 games in 2023, Baez hit 222, 267, 325, good for a 593 OPS with 9 homers, a 61 WRC plus, and .8 FWAR. This isn't the same guy that we saw before signing a 6-year, $140 million deal with Detroit. A 2-time All-Star, Gold Glover, Silver Slugger, and part of that Cubs 2016 World Series championship. From 2015 to 2021, Baez hit 272, 313, seems low, doesn't it? Pay attention to that. 488 for an 801 OPS, 140 homers, a 107 WRC plus, and 22.5 FWAR in 810 games. But there's a reason that I said to pay attention to his on-base percentage. And it's this chart right here. because we've all seen these clips of Baez swinging out of his shoes at something that's in the other batter's box like he's up there playing MLB The Show. And this is the importance of plate approach, ladies and gentlemen, because Javi Baez doesn't just chase a lot, he's been in the first percentile, the lowest that you can go, 6 out of the 8 years that he's qualified for it. Now, if you can still hit pitches out of the zone pretty well, then like, whatever. But at some point, this will catch up to you when you can't hit those as well. And this year, he had to sacrifice how hard he was hitting the ball to be able to just make more contact and stop striking out so much. And it cost him in barrels and ground balls. We don't simp as hitters, kids. There's no chasing here. We make the good pitches come to us. This entire year was a huge letdown for the Yankees. Aaron Judge and a lot of other guys got hurt, and key bats just didn't come through. One of those key bats was Anthony Rizzo, who played in only 99 games, hit 244, 328, 378 with a 706 OPS, 12 home runs, a 100 WRC plus, and .9 F-WAR. The 3-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, and 2016 World Series champ was off to a great start to 2023. And then for the second half of his season was the worst hitter in baseball. But it wasn't even his fault. On May 28th, he collided with Fernando Tatis Jr. on a pickoff attempt and was taken out of the game with a suspected head or neck injury, and then played for over 2 months until he was finally put on the IL on August 3rd with post-concussion syndrome. And like, look, at this point, we know that the 33-year-old isn't in his prime anymore. Going into this year, he'd hit 268, 368, 486 with an 855 OPS, 282 homers, a 131 WRC plus, and 35.8 F-WAR over 1,487 games from 2012 to 2022. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that something was wrong here. You have a guy that was still playing really well, then he gets hit in the head and taken out of a game, then you keep playing him for over 2 months and he turns into the worst hitter in baseball. And the Yankees couldn't put 2 and 2 together on this. How, as a professional sports organization, do you let a guy play with a brain injury for over 2 months? The Yankees are the ones that need a concussion test, apparently. This one's on them, not Rizzo. These guys all had disappointing seasons, to say the least, but let me know if there's any other players that I missed or any other reasons you think that these guys struggle. And while we get players that fail to live up to expectations every year, we also get players that massively exceed expectations. So to find out about the biggest breakout and bounce back players of 2023, check out the video that's on your screen next. And thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Later.